Welcome back to yourownark.blogspot.com. This video is on Stage 2, Comfortable Living. This builds on the foundation of Stage 1, Minimum Rations. We talked about in the Minimum Rations video about building that foundation, the beans and rice, whole corn, 9 grain, a few minimum spices, and some salt, so that sustains life, but not really fun. I understand that. So what we want to do, as soon as we get our foundation built, then we start to add to, as we can, those comfortable living items that help the food that we eat be more pleasurable and fun and more tasty, all the different things. And always keep in mind that we're working towards Stage 3, which is provident living and production. Some of the things we're going to talk about here are moving towards that provident living and production category. We start there on the far right, and we can see some of the food items that we're going to start adding to our comfortable living, the minimum rations. We can start adding some canned fruit. There's some canned beans, popcorn, some fun food. There's some freeze-dried strawberries back there, condiments, your mustard, ketchup, the things that you like to eat, whatever it is that you like. Okay, all of those things there, though, once they're used up and gone, they're gone. So that's a commodity that is going to be consumed, but it doesn't take us closer to our goal of provident living and production. When we take the next step over, we start looking at bottling our own fruits and vegetables and meat. Okay, so we have meat there that's going to be really good nutrition for us. We have some bottled apricots, some green beans. Those things are things that have been bottled personally, but when we talk about moving to the next level, you're talking about not only the food, but the tools necessary to prepare that food. Now, I can bottle that meat myself, but I need the tools to do that. One of the tools necessary is the actual bottle. I can't make glass, so that means I need to purchase the bottle in advance and either have it full or empty when the time that I need it comes. Okay, the other thing that we need is a pressure cooker to do the meat, a cold pack canner for the fruits and vegetables. Those are tools that are necessary to produce that kind of food, to put it up in storage. But that's a step towards provident living, because now I can bottle my own food and I can reuse those bottles over and over again, whereas with just the canned goods, we use them up and they're gone. So always think of the tools that are needed and working towards that provident living. Once you invest in the tools, then you can continue to be more productive in what you're trying to accomplish. Okay, some of the other things that are part of the food of second stage is the fun foods and also the spices, herbs. We've got some sprouts there, oil and other cooking ingredients, all of those things that are going to be necessary for you to take your meals to the next level. So you're not just having the beans and rice. The difference between beans and rice and chili is seasoning. So we want to stock up on the chili powder, we want to stock up on the onion powder, the garlic powder, all these different spices, peppers, and things that will take the bland food to the next level so that we can have good, nutritious food, but also that has some variety to it. And all the time we're looking at the tools that are necessary. You want to get a wheat grinder so you can grind your wheat, and then you can make bread. Now, there's stages even with the bread. You know, you have your muffins, you have tortillas and unleavened bread that are much more simple. You need the grinder for that, but you don't have to have the oven, because you can just do that on a skillet or a frying pan or something like that over an open fire. You grind your wheat, add a little bit of oil and salt, and you can make a tortilla, which is really good, but there's a minimum amount of tools necessary for that. You can just fry them up. Whereas if you want to make bread, you have to have the bread pans, the oven, and the heat source. So as we go up from here on the tools necessary for what we're trying to accomplish, I just have a list there that's listed on the website. We can go through it. 72-hour kits, bottles, canning bottles that is, wheat grinder and a canner, pressure cooker, a water filter, water storage, and a sun oven. Those are all options that you can look into to see if that is going to be beneficial for you. Now, a lot of people ask me, why do I have my 72-hour kit on the tools for second stage? Some people would say that should be the very first thing that you do. That's fine. My opinion, the way that I do things, is your 72-hour kit is on your second stage for one good reason. A 72-hour kit for me, I keep in the vehicle. If something happens when I'm away from home, I grab my 72-hour kit, or I use my 72-hour kit to get myself back home. because home is where I've made all the other preparations. For me, if I haven't made the initial preparations at home, there's no food, there's no security at home, what do I need a 72-hour kit to get me back home for? Okay, that's my opinion. Some people have them to grab and leave their home. My opinion is they're in the vehicle for me to get home, because that's where I've made my long-term preparations. Second stage, okay, candles, a wood stove, gun and ammunition, extra clothing, coats and blankets, a good knife. All these things are helpful in those areas. You just want to start looking at what your heat source will be. Is it going to be a wood stove? Is it going to be an open fire? Is it going to be the rocket stove? Is it going to be a tent stove? All these are different options that you can look at. We're going to be posting shortly a video on a wood oven that is made here locally in Roosevelt area. That's a great use because it has a skillet cooktop and the oven associated with it, and it uses wood. So you want to look at what your heat source is going to be, and to be able to accomplish the food preparation with the ingredients that you need to take that ration lifestyle next to the comfortable living. And then as we're working towards this comfortable living, we're borderlining in a lot of these areas on the provident living with the investment in the pressure cooker. And then you have your bottles. Once the bottles are empty, when I come across some more meat, I'm hunting and I find a deer or a rabbit or whatever it is, I can bottle that meat back in those bottles, reuse it, and save it again for when I need it. Now, people say, well, all these tools can get very expensive, and this is true. You look at a pressure cooker, you look at a grinder, you look at the wood stove, you look at the cook stove, the sun oven, all of these different tools. My recommendation on that is get with the people who you are planning on working with, family members or friends, that you're going to be hunkering down with, that you're going to be exchanging information and commodities with. These are the people you're going to be working with, and invest in certain things together. So one person gets the wheat grinder, one person gets the stove in the oven, one person gets the pressure cooker, and so on. Spread it out so that everybody doesn't have to invest in the same tools. We don't need duplications on the tools. We want to use our resources wisely so that we can bulk up on more food and not duplicate on the expensive tools, and still be able to accomplish the work that is necessary to be able to prepare the food and then restore food if necessary or possible, and use those things all wisely. So get with the people that you're going to be caring about, that you're going to be working with, and say, hey, this is what we need to do. We need to get these preparations made. And we want to, of course, work to the place where we're in comfortable living. So let's work together so that we can make our time and our resources go further to accomplish that comfortable living situation. If you have any questions, always feel free to drop us a line at yourownark.blogspot.com.